I'm back. Okay, so this project requires a little backstory and some explanation, and I will toss in a disclaimer. This is not for the younger audience, as there is some profanity in this. It's probably words your child's heard, or at least murmured, but as a dad, I know my kid is very familiar with the word, but just a little warning for you. By the way, this is not me carving, but just something to watch because me talking into a black screen is a little too ominous and frankly pretty boring. About a month ago, I embarked on a journey of trying to get my life in order, and that meant I needed to face some hard truths and get some help. Long story for another video. Taking the first step seemed daunting and rather terrifying. In my life, there are some pretty awesome people, and one of them is named Keith. Keith is a pretty chill guy, and his job is involved in driving some pretty heavy equipment, mostly commercial cranes, in the Boston area. Huge truck on tiny streets can really be a pretty stressful situation, as one can imagine. He told me about a time when he first started and was really scared to take on the task. If you've ever driven in Boston, you understand the stress, not to mention in a truck carrying hundreds of thousands of pounds. His boss gave him a coin and told him when he gets nervous to remember one thing: drive the fucking truck. So until now, it's been an inside joke whenever I need to do something I really don't want to do. Just remember to drive the fucking truck. Keith's birthday recently passed, and I won't out his age, but I wanted to make something that kind of reinforced that feeling of just buckle down and do it. So, with all that said, let's make something. We are going to start by ripping down some fence pickets. I've had these in my shop for about 8 months. Sadly, this one didn't acclimate well, so it's not really one I want to use, so let's get a better one from the pile. See how fast I did that? Magic of video editing. This one should do the trick. Time to put on the work apron and get to it. After fumbling with it a bunch, where do all these things go? As you can tell, it's been a while. I think it goes on like this. Okay, arm over here, head over here. Yeah, like this. Nope, that's not right. I'm just going to step out of frame and figure it out. Be right back. Okay, now that that's been sorted, let's get to ripping this picket. I'm going to rip this to 1.5 inches, but before I do, I'm going to be stacking the frame, so it's important for me to pay attention to the material thickness. If it's not thick enough, it won't stack correctly and it will look goofy. I'll explain that when we get there. I decided on 1.5 inches to optimize what I could get out of the picket. It's a 1x6, so I should be able to get at least 3 runs out of it. After lining up the fence and locking it into position, let's get to cutting. I sped this part up, obviously. Only an insane person would try to cut wood this fast, and to be honest, I'm a huge fan of having fingers. I'm going to save that minor little cutoff just in case. It's just the right size for my garden trestle, which is in another video. That is all the ripping we're going to do, so everything else will be cut to size. The cut list for the next section is 4 at 18 inches for the top, bottom, and center, 2 at 7.5 inches for the center and side, 2 at 11 and 5/8 for the frame sides. Next, we're going to cut a full picket down, well, one of the other pickets, which is 5 1/4 inch wide, and we're going to need 2 pieces at 18 inches. Next, we are going to do a dry fit. The 2 center panels will be held together by the inside verticals on either side. The frame will sit on the outside. This is by making sure the width is accounted for, else the frame would have been too small and not given the desired look. This project will be stained and a vinyl decal will be added, so each piece will need to be sanded to start. I recommend using shelf liner to sand as it holds the part firmly in place. I'm sanding here with 120 to knock off the rough exterior. Next, we are going to finish each piece with stain. I decided the frame would be a nice grayish blue, the color is ghost gray, and the inside would be a red stain in contrast. I'm using foam brushes because it's convenient, but not sold on one method for applying stain, so do what works for you. When working with stain, finishing ahead of time is a must-do stop. You may notice I didn't bother staining the ends as they will be completely hidden by the frame. Next, it's time to assemble. I laid out the pieces and started by building the inside panel, attaching both sides and tops with wood glue and some brads to hold it together. Fence pickets aren't terribly known for being flat, so this process is pretty forgiving as the inside panel is framed by the outside. Make sure to clean up any spillage from the glue. I'm spreading the glue with a foam brush to try to avoid the squeeze out from the pressure. Once that is complete, I frame the outside with the same glue and brad nail process. It's important to note to make sure all your parts have dried sufficiently. These dried for 24 hours, the recommended time from the stain manufacturer. Keep in mind, we are going with a rustic look, so mistakes are supposed to be there, I swear. It's a sneaky way to excuse our mistakes, but it makes each piece unique. Yeah, let's go with that. Once it is all built, you can see what we're going for here in the step down frame or step up, depending on how you're looking at it. The last stop in the finishing process is to apply some poly. I'm using a one coat water-based poly. The purpose of this is to give the vinyl decal something to stick to so it doesn't drift or fall off. Vinyl decals and oil-based stain don't tend to work well together, and the poly fills the fibers, leaving less room for air to get under the decal. The last step is to attach the decal. As you may have seen in my other videos, I own a Cricut, and I use that to cut decals that I need for my project. It's a pretty simple process, and you use transfer material to transfer the vinyl to the finished product, hence the need for the poly to make everything easy to adhere. Applying pressure to the transfer material allows the vinyl to stick while you remove the transfer. And just like that, you have some homemade rustic art. The customizable options are endless. Go ahead and give it a try. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching, and go make something.